I spy with my little light. Oh,
Hello everybody and welcome back to Planet Coaster. In today's video we are going to be starting up a new series, and the last series I'm going to be starting up probably for a while, and that is we are going to be building every single Mario Kart track in the entire game of Mario Kart Wii. Not the entire Mario Kart series, just Mario Kart Wii. If you don't know, there's 32 tracks, and yeah, we're going to be starting with the first one. And that's Luigi's circuit. So there's these 32 tracks, and oops, sorry if I just bumped into the microphone. Yeah, there's 32 tracks, and trust me, it's not going to be easy to do this. I spent roughly 3 hours on this first track, and this is probably, I would say, the easiest track in the game to make, which is probably not a good thing. I will post another cinematic video for it just separately, but you saw that little cinematic at the start. But yeah, so this ride took me around 3 hours. It's sped up at 8 times speed, and it's using the go-karts because I felt that the go-karts need something new and something that other people weren't doing, so I decided to do it on Mario Kart, because I'm sure lots of people have probably tried Mario Kart, but I don't think they've really tried to attempt every single Mario Kart track in the entire game of Mario Kart Wii. Don't forget that. Like, seriously, guys, don't forget. There's a big freaking difference. But yeah, so we're just here. I had a video pulled up on the side of what the circuit looked like in a video, so I knew exactly what to do. And I was listening to videos in the background, and you might hear some music in the background. That's just some Planet Coaster music, and then eventually it switches over to some like other generic montage music, stuff like that. But yes, so this ride has a hero piece, which is basically like the main part of the ride. There's a huge what do you call it? A huge what's it? Pufferfish, that is it. It's a pufferfish, and I used it making it out of art shapes, and this is actually in the Luigi's actual circuit, which I find pretty cool. And yeah, so right here I was just trying to make the grass look a little bit greener. There is some terraforming. There is a couple things that aren't precise to what the actual game's racetrack looks like. For example, there is some terraforming in the middle just because I wanted to add some extra detail, and yeah, but for the most part the entire track is totally a recreation. Almost all the elements of the ride are a recreation. There's the stands, there's pretty much everything's a recreation. But yeah, right here I was just trying to add these tires to line the sides, and so I had to make a tire wall because I kept flipping back and forth and there was like a wall, so I did a tire wall, and I think it looked really good in the end. It definitely adds to the ride and makes the ride look a lot better. This ride is definitely a daytime ride, as I didn't actually add any lights, and I believe it is also under 2,000 pieces, which is nice. I can put in a blueprint, but I don't have the terraforming, so I can't really do that. I'll just give it to you as a park on the Steam Workshop, which if you do want to go check out my Steam Workshop, it is Adam. Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory, but yeah. So right here we're building some mushrooms because the game doesn't actually have mushrooms, and Mario is just like, there's mushrooms everywhere on this thing. So I had to build some custom mushrooms. And if I'm talking a little bit quietly and it sounds weird, is because I have a blanket over top of me right now because a bunch of stuff's going on in the background. Like we're kind of renovating the house right now and the hockey game's on. So yeah, that's why I have a blanket over top of me and I'm talking quieter, because all of that stuff. So right here, we're just trying to work on this main strip. This main strip really turned out how I wanted to. And I mean, it's not a perfect recreation because I use a lot of trees when there's really not a ton of trees. But in Planet Coaster, you gotta use trees and you can't be 100% accurate. But I tried to stick as close to it as I could, just for all those hardcore fans out there. Now, the reason I really chose Mario Kart Wii and not other games is because it's the game I grew up with in my childhood. It's really the game I played for a majority of my life, other than like Wii Sports, because I had a Wii. But yeah, I just found that game to be so enjoyable and so much fun that I had to do something with it when the go-karts came out, and I've probably going to be spending a lot of time on this. There will still be the other time-lapse series of Kraken's Creek, and that park, that'll still all be there. Overcooked will be out once in a while, and all that, but yeah, so right here we're just doing the stadium corner, where there was the 2 tracks, and I hadn't added in the second track, but don't worry, I do. No actual cars can get on it, but I mean, that doesn't really matter. So right here, if you played Mario Kart, you know that when you hit these blocks, they explode and you get power-ups. So I was making these blocks here, and I was going to originally illuminate them, but I chose not to because then this ride doesn't really focus on daytime. But what I did do was I did add in something, a triggered event by chance when you hit it. When you get close enough to it, confetti bursts out like you're breaking the block. But yeah, so right here is where the pufferfish will sit over, and I had to make so this is basically me framing the pool, not to make it just a pool, lake, whatever you want to call it. I'm assuming it's probably a pool just because nobody has like a lake in the middle of a racetrack for the most part. It's mostly artificial, but yeah, the giant pufferfish sits in the middle of this thing, and if you check images, yes, this is all legit. They have this in Mario Kart Wii for Luigi's Circuit, which it's pretty cool. But yeah, I personally love how this track came out, and I think it really shows signs for the future and how much fun this series is gonna be. But yeah, so this is where I was noticing that these blocks weren't very interesting, but I just was like, I don't know what to do. So I went back to the video and I noticed, oh, there's a huge mushroom on the first corner, so I built a huge mushroom. And it's funny. It's just like you rounding the first corner and then boom, just huge mushroom. And I find that really funny. Also, you'll notice there's like lots of green scenery pieces, and that's mostly because stick with the Luigi theme. But this first straightaway I really love, and then that first corner and whatnot is pretty freaking cool. But I didn't know what to do here, so I went back and looked on the video, and then I realized, oh, okay, so there was a couple of pipes that Mario goes boop 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 out of, and so we should be all good and whatnot, as we are just adding a couple more mushrooms around here and a couple of little shrubs to make the place look a little bit nicer. Yeah, so just finishing up these little shrubs around here, and if my microphone sounds different, it's because I moved it back. That's why there was a cut in the audio and all that jazz. Right here we are adding in these flags that they have on our Luigi Circuit, which I think are a really nice touch and really add to the straightaway as it makes it look a lot nicer. But right here, this is where I started to add some signs, like some turning signs. I custom made my turning signs, which it's probably not a bad idea, but I just custom made them just to have it so that I have a little bit more influence over what I'm making, and it's not just something pre-built in the game. So I try to make it look like, oh, go this way, right? So there's no actual like sign that I have, like, so I just used like the brackets and a dash. But yes, so I just wanted to make this a building, so I stuck a building piece under it, a grid piece, copied it, made it a blueprint, even though I realized I didn't need to make it a blueprint right after I finished, which really kind of pissed me off, but I mean, it's like not a big deal or anything. I could have done that anyway. See, this is where I realized, and I was just kind of mad. So I was just adding some rocks and details around here just to make it look a little bit nicer, make it look a little bit more like an actual racetrack, because that's what we're trying to do. I mean, we're trying to stick to realism, but at the same time, we want to make it look like an actual racetrack. I was really dreading the last corner, and I was trying to stick away from it because I knew I was going to have to build a crap ton of bleachers, and I was not looking forward to it, so I was trying to stick to like the main front and hull of the racetrack, if you will. Right here there was a bunch of Mario advertisements in the game, and so I just went ahead and did a bunch of Gulpy advertisements and Planet Coaster advertisements. So I think that was just a little touch that was really needed, and it was is quite fun and ironic that happened. So yeah, I was just trying to add some terrain editing, make it look a little bit less natural, because I mean, we don't want it to look supernatural or whatnot. So right here, this is where I wasn't sure what to do, as I had no clue. So I just added one more of my signs, which they just kind of sit there. But if my voice sounds really scratchy, it's kind of I have a sore throat, and yeah. So right here, this is where I said, oh god, what am I doing? And I'm gonna build the bleachers. So I built these bleachers, and originally I wasn't very happy with how the bleachers actually turned out, and I was kind of mad at myself. But I fixed it with a little touch in the end, which really has nothing to do with how I built the bleachers. But yeah, so right here we're just building up the bleachers. They're in 3 separate buildings, the bleachers actually. There's the first building, and the first long corner, and then the last corner. And I did a little bit of a building flaw at the start, but I fixed it in the end. And yeah, I basically built these 3 buildings. They look crap from the back because you're not supposed to see them from the back, but they look really good from the front, or they look half decent from the front. But yeah, so I used these floor pieces, or I used a castle floor piece to do the oh boy, to do the seating. Oh boy, that's a yawn. Never want to yawn when you're recording. But yeah, I had to keep switching between these 3 buildings just because they were all different, and they're all supposed to be like 3 separate things. But right here, I was just connecting all 3 of the buildings via the pieces, and this entire time I was listening to Nerdcubed. All 3 of these videos, pretty much, I was listening to Nerdcubed and Silverette, as they're both really good YouTubers. You should go check them out. But I was listening to Nerdcube's news and his Soup with Nerd on his second channel, and I was listening to just whatever the hell I could find on Silverette's channel, just because he's such a good Planet Coaster creator. And yeah, I really think that this is going to help me become a lot better of a creator in Planet Coaster. But yes, I think that these stands ended up turning out better than I originally thought they were. And not just because of the design of the stands, but the design's actually pretty atrocious for the stands. It's more about how the people that I use in the stands make it look. And you'll see right here, I put these paths down, and it makes it look like it blends in with the stadium. And then I put a bunch of entertainers and workers down to make it look like people have been occupying the stands, and they're trapped there, so they can't leave. But I can't rotate these guys, so I was trying to get them to move or do their job or something, which was kind of annoying. But I kind of figured out a hack is I kind of had to connect the pathways, and then they'll start moving, and then I just deleted the pathways and they weren't allowed to move anymore, and I just added more entertainers, more chief beasts, more gulpies, more princesses, all of them, and it really helped the look of the stands as you like fly by the stands around the last corner. You get like really up close and personal with the entertainers and whatnot. And when they were all happy for the first like 3 hours or 2.5 hours, 2 hours probably roughly, and then after that they were just like all slouching down and like all sad and whatnot. Right here, I didn't really care about what my queue. I just wanted people to start riding this thing because I knew it'd be really cool to see people actually start getting on this ride. Oh boy, why am I yawning again? It's like freaking 4:40. That's exactly the time. It's 4:40, April 22nd. Probably already know that though. Probably says on the upload date or something like that. So right here, I just wanted to ride my ride, see how it looked. That'll be a separate video. I'll do a separate video for the cinematics. And yeah, you can just see you get really up close and personal with those guys. You kind of collide through rocks, but isn't that like the real Mario Kart experience? So right here, I realized these blocks weren't nice enough, so I put all these down, and then you couldn't actually. It's a glitch kind of where you couldn't actually click them. You had to. It would start clicking the track instead, so I had to move them on to the grass and then use them as triggers and then put them back into the blue box. But But yes, so then those triggers are all there because you're going to get really, really triggered. And right here is where I worked on the desert section. So if you know Mario Kart, when you come around this corner, you go into this desert section and you get this shortcut, which is a jump. And this jump really, I'm surprised how well it came out, and I really like how it did come out. This jump, it's not really a shortcut, but it has like these boost pads, and it's an iconic moment for me. So I got like this little trail that you come off and go back on. And the desert area really, it makes it feel different. It makes it not feel all the same, which is what I liked. And I feel that without the desert section's a little bit more bare. It's got more cactuses, trees more spread out, a couple like dead bushes here and there. It's not meant to be as dense or like a forest, right? So it helps. It's kind of like black and white. They oppose each other. So like when you go from the generic tree section to like the desert, the generic tree section, the generic section to like the desert area, it really contrasts each other, and then you're like, whoa, and then that's just some dumb logic, but whatever. It really also helps just fill in areas that I wasn't sure what to do with, but again, this is a recreation, so I probably should know what I'm doing. Again, I'm putting those blocks there because I really do think this is it's the most accurate. I've never seen anybody do this really before. Like, generally, I have never seen anybody do this, and I don't know why. I know why, because people don't like use the go-karts, and the go-karts weren't part of the game until about 3 or 4 days ago. Actually, no, wait, it was about a week ago now that I think about it. But I think that nobody is going to be doing this, or if they do, I mean, I'll be totally fine with it because I know I was probably the first person to do it, and it's the first thing I ever really did. But this right here was a challenge for me because there's this building behind where you start in Mario Kart Wii, which really you didn't see much of what the building looked like. So I assumed it was kind of more of a modern building. You kind of see it in some of the cinematic shots before you start playing the game, but you really don't see it that well. So I decided to build my first really modern building that I've ever built because I really wanted to attempt this, and I thought the modern aspect could be really well done, and it was actually one of my favorite buildings I've built in a while. It really, it's just, you figure it out, and I love modern architecture, so I already had a bunch of knowledge from modern architecture, so I basically just made a building, and it worked really well, and I was very happy with it. It's really quite a simple building, like 200 pieces, maybe something like that, but then again, modern buildings are supposed to be simple. They are simple. There's not too many like rocks or anything like it's just simple. It's wood usually to contrast some of the gray, usually cement or concrete or same thing, or stone, whatever they have made the building out of. There are some empty spaces, but it needs that in a way almost. It's like lounging area, or it's like meant to look like that. So I think it looks fine. I really like how this turned out. I couldn't have been happier. I mean, I could have been happier. I could have done a lot more, but I was kind of tested for time. Plus, I mean, we're getting into, it's like almost May now, so finals are starting to loom around the corner. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy how this all turned out. So I'm just grateful that I have the friends that really gave me the series idea. I mean, my friends basically gave the series idea. And yes, we were in Crackett's Creek right there. I was just showing some friends. Oh, wait, what? Oh, no. Oh, no, did I seriously? I forgot to record the making of the pufferfish. Oh, no. Crap, I forgot to make the recording of the pufferfish. And it's just like a 10-minute clip, and it's a really bad clip. It was just me spamming a bunch of circles and whatnot. I mean, it's not that creative or anything. Yeah, in the end, it doesn't look all that great, but I think it serves its purpose, and yeah. So right here, this is where I was doing the little second section of it. This really doesn't serve a purpose. Go-karts don't go on it. It's just for more aesthetics and for realism because the game actually looks like this. But the one thing I was sad about is because I was going to combine the two go-kart tracks, overlap them on top of each other, and then when there was a shortcut or something, I'd veer one off of each other. But I can't place stations on top of stations, so I'll probably have to find like a hack or some way. Not a hack, but like a life tip on how to do that. Really though, we have about probably 5 minutes left, close to that, something like that. I don't know, there's not that much. Right here, I wasn't sure what to do in the middle, so really I was just playing around with the terrain, making it look kind of like a podium in a way, I guess. But yeah, you'll see at the end it gets really weird. I don't actually do much. I'm just trying to figure out the camera controls. But that's totally G. So right here, I'm just trying to add all these trees and cactuses, make it look like a little bit more like a desert, make it look a little bit nicer, trying to add like a wall around here, but it didn't really work. So I just added like a simple wall of terrain behind, and I roughened it up a little bit, added some trees. Looks all good. So you can see those go-karts going vroom, vroom. And yeah, I was adding a couple more of these little, what do you call them? Whatever you want to call them, it doesn't really matter. And so then I was just spamming some mushrooms around the place and some shrubbery, just trying to make the area look a little bit nicer and more pleasing to the naked eye. Right here I was just adding some trees and all that jazz, you know. But here we're just going around and doing some terrain editing, making it look a little bit more realistic, making it look a little bit more like the ride. Normally in Mario Kart Wii, there's not actually like a bunch of trees that are around that area. It's more of just a border. But we don't really have borders in Planet Coaster, so I'm just making trees because those are my borders, and it looks pretty realistic. So there's the little pufferfish. You got a nice little shot of him. He's quite funny, but yeah, it really, I turned it so that you could actually see his face. I know that's not actually how it is in the game, but I wanted you to actually like see his face. Right here we're just going to do a quick run through, and that'll be another cinematic video. So yes, you guys, if you did end up liking this video, go ahead and drop a like down below, subscribe, comment how I can improve this ride, whether or not you guys think I should. What do you think I should do for the rest of the series? What do you think I should do? What are some ideas? And yeah, that's about it, guys. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.